All right, welcome in. It is the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview, also presented by Champions World Famous Fried Chicken. This will be a sprint show, a little shorter than normal, a little later than normal. We appreciate you bearing with us. It's just the two of us. Obviously, Dunaway still out in Vegas, probably robbing them blind right now with Saturday selections. So he'll continue to do that, and we'll be back with us Monday. Lance Taylor is with me. What is up, LT? How are you?
Hey man, I am good. Coming off 2-1 in college football. We've got 9 plays up. This is crazy. I've never seen this, Brown. I like to avoid the morning window. It's kind of
you have not.
I have not. It's an abbreviated board, so not nearly as many games as we've gotten in the past. A lot of buys this week, but I've got 3 games in the early window. I've got 3 in the 2:30 window, and I've got 3 primetime games. So I've got 9 total plays today at lanceslike.com. They just happened to fall like that. Didn't plan it. Just kind of the way it went down. And again, 2-1 last night. The loser was Florida Atlantic. Disappointing loss there. You see Tom Herman and Alex Golish after the game.
What happened there? Yeah, what happened there? I didn't see what happened. I just saw the result.
See, it got away. So Florida Atlantic had an opportunity to kick. I mean, it was a chippy field goal to go up 17-7 at half. They missed field goal. They going up 14-7. And then it was like complete domination from the Bulls in the second half. So once it got away, I stopped. But, I mean, there's definitely something there. I think there was something there between those two going into the game, though.
Well, Golish did the blow-by, for those that didn't see it, in the handshake line, and Herman chased him down and wouldn't stop. I mean, he probably chased him, Lance, for a good 20, 25 yards, and Golish was having none of it. Like, he was not going to turn around and engage. He just kept moving.
Yeah, obviously Golish is playing without his starting quarterback in Byron Brown, and we saw what a difficult out they were in early September in Tuscaloosa. They haven't been the same team because of injuries. It's been a disappointing year too. They've still got an opportunity to maybe get to a bowl game. They're at 500 right now. But Alex Golish is one of these coaches, offensively, his philosophies, if he's got the right personnel, this is an offense that can absolutely pop. I do think he will get a bigger job sooner than later, but he is going to be tough to handle once he gets a. I mean, Tom Herman's one of those guys that's got a massive ego. And Tom Herman is just a guy now that is kind of banished to Boca Raton, which wouldn't be a bad place to be banished to with millions and millions of Texas dollars. So he was hard to stomach back in the day, but I think Golish is going to be the same.
We're going to jump to Auburn, Vandy in just a moment. We'll hit the early window first. A piece of news, though, it is from the early window. And it's not a game. Full disclosure, you have up at lanceslike.com. I don't know if this will change that. Bryson Daly, according to Pat Forty of Sports Illustrated, is out today for Army at Air Force. Well, that game is in West Point. My apologies.
Well, what you have done for me, and I'm going to have to do this on the fly, is Bryson Daly was one of my starting quarterbacks for DraftKings this morning.
This is according to sources. Army star quarterback Bryson Daly is out today versus Air Force with an undisclosed injury, according to Pat Forty.
Yeah.
So it's going to affect not lanceslike.com, but Lance's DraftKings is what that's going to affect.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to affect Army. This is the largest, the second largest spread in military academy game in a long time. So
yeah,
they were a healthy favorite. Largest academy spread in 21 years. So number will go down because Bryson Daly has been that good. But you know what? It's not going to affect the outcome of the game, I don't believe.
All right. It is Johnston RV Center bringing you the show. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur is where you find them. Always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. The leaves are falling, so are the temperatures. Go see Fall in America with an RV from Johnston RV Center. You can get them right there with travel trailers as low as $145 a month. Fifth wheel, savings $45,000 and more. RV warranty forever. Make sure you're covered lifetime on anything new and qualifying pre-owned at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, and always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. We are about 2 hours from kickoff right now at Jordan-Hare Stadium, 11:45 SEC Network kick. Emily Grace McWhorter joins us from just outside the friendly confines of Jordan-Hare Stadium. What is up, EG? How are you?
Nothing much. I was going to take y'all inside, but I'm pretty sure you can hear the video board from out here. So we're hanging just outside. This is where I enter the stadium, in case anyone wanted to know, get the behind-the-scenes scoop.
Yeah, that's right. Quite loud on that video board there.
So, E.G., how is the crowd with an Auburn team that is fighting for their bowl lives?
Yeah, so when I walked through Tiger Walk, and that was about 40 minutes before, it was already packed. So the Auburn faithful is still very much around, especially for an early game. Students are already starting to file into the stadium as well. So I think it'll be a great environment. I think that one thing I've found that early games in Auburn feel like they aren't impacted as much as some other places.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Lance. You look at the rest of this schedule. We talked about this on the show yesterday, EG. Bowl eligibility is never like the goal for Auburn football. I get it.
Right.
But when you start 2-5, going to a bowl would mean you finished well. It might help in recruiting, just the overall feel for everything. This feels like when you've got Vandy, La Monroe, Texas A&M, and Alabama left, a must-win in terms of bowl eligibility. Even though you only need 3 more, you feel like you pretty much have to get this one.
Absolutely. And I think that bowl eligibility, what it does is it makes this season a little more palatable for Auburn fans, for recruits. It makes it seem like the season wasn't a complete waste, especially considering how Auburn started. So I would agree with you, Brown, that this is one of those games that Auburn feels like they need to win. Lance, what is the point spread? Has it gone up at all?
No, it's sitting right at 7.5. I'll check it currently. I would say this. Auburn would look to avoid even if they get to a bowl game, you still got to win that bowl game. But, this would be 3 consecutive losing years for Auburn.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time that happened with this program. So, EG, it's still 7.5. The total's 48.5. Auburn has lost 2 straight home games, not only straight up, but against the number. The last time Auburn has lost 3 home games. Can one of you two tell me?
Last time Auburn lost 3 home games?
Yeah, 3 straight home games.
Oh, 3 straight. My apologies. I was about to say 3 had to be last year.
Yeah, last year I was thinking the same thing.
3 straight.
When did they lose to Auburn? 2019?
No, this is, if Lance asked this, EG, I've worked with this guy long enough. You're going to have to go deep on this one. I'm just
1973.
I'm just going to randomly pick a year. It's probably going to be early 80s, the Doug Barfield era before Pat Dye got there.
I think EG was in 5th or 6th grade. It was 2012. It was the year that got Gene Chizik fired.
Would have made sense. That was a 3-9 squad. Yep.
Yeah, and I'll tell you guys, I just didn't see this with Hugh Freeze in year 2. I just didn't see it.
What are you looking at, EG?
There's a Gene Chizik poster behind me somewhere.
Oh, yeah. You did not see this coming with Hugh Freeze, Lance. You were a Hugh Freeze guy.
Well, and I just, as much as people kind of questioned not going in the portal and getting a quarterback and Peyton Thorne being that guy, Hugh Freeze sold us in the offseason that Peyton Thorne was going to be a productive quarterback. And, look, Peyton's cleaned up the turnovers a little bit. It's a really average team. I do expect Auburn to have a really nice game after that second half in Lexington last week.
There's the Gene Chizik banner right there. EG had to hunt for it.
There's Gene.
They buried it. He's got an obstructed view. Like some people get that one bad ticket. He's the one that's got the obstructed view banner.
That's right. You got to hunt to find the Gene Chizik banner there. The guy won a national championship, but also did not finish great. All right, EG, you get to see your guy Diego Pavia again. It's about a year ago when you sprung that name on Dunaway. He had never heard of it, and you were like, "No, Diego Pavia." Yeah, and boy, the world knows about him now.
I'm excited. I told people to circle this game before the season, and I got some weird looks. And looking back, I should have said circle the Alabama Vanderbilt game. But I still feel like this game has some implications. I'm excited to see Diego Pavia once again in person. I was telling our friends of the show, Macaulay and Johnny, I said, we will never forget watching him suplex the Auburn player after throwing the pick and then getting a personal foul.
Yep. You don't see that often from a quarterback, but he absolutely did that. Yeah. EG, thank you very much. You'll be with the Barn Auburn folks after the game and also at NextRound Live on social media. You and Little T putting some stuff out there with that. And Scotty will have some post-game press conferences and all up, all at NextRound Live and our NextRound YouTube channel. Enjoy the game, EG.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right, thank you. That is Emily Grace McWhorter down at Auburn, thebarnauburn.com, thebarnauburn.com. You can join for $1, enjoy the message board content, also some great video content as well, thebarnauburn.com.
So Brown, a couple of things out of that game, though, and there are 2 stats that I think are really important. Time of possession, which Vanderbilt leads the SEC, which is no surprise after just watching. If you just watch the Alabama game, you can understand why Vanderbilt leads the conference in time of possession. Auburn 112th in time of possession.
Yeah.
So, how many opportunities, how many possessions will Auburn get in this game? You got to take advantage. And on the other side, one of the reasons Vanderbilt is 5-3 and their 3 losses by a combined 10 points is they've only turned the football over 5 times. I just mentioned that Peyton Thorne has cleaned it up a little bit, but they are still one of the worst turnover margin teams in college football. So this is why Vanderbilt has been so dangerous, and this is kind of where they've had the equalizer on roster talent is time of possession, playing clean football, and forcing turnovers. So if Vanderbilt does go out and dominate that, limit the possessions for Auburn, and Auburn turns it over a couple of times, I think Vanderbilt wins the game. If Auburn plays clean football and they take advantage of the possessions, especially red zone possessions, I think Auburn wins and covers.
One of the many games Lance has up at lanceslike.com. He's got to play in that game. Also, Ohio State, Penn State, you got to play in this one, Lance. Ohio State this morning at MyBookie.ag is a 3-point favorite in this game. 47.5 is the total in Happy Valley. Of course, 11 a.m. on Fox. Drew Aller, according to all reports, will start in this game for the Penn State and Indy Lions.
Well, look, and I think that is obviously important for Franklin. You watched Bo Prabilla come in last week on the road against Wisconsin, and he played pretty well. I don't see it for a full 4 quarters against this Ohio State defense. I mentioned this yesterday. I think this kind of shocked you. They've only given up 17 or more twice in 2022. So, yeah, if you lay out the last 2 full calendar seasons, they did it against Michigan. They did it this year in Austin against Oregon. They have been a different unit without Josh Simmons at left tackle. But I do believe they're going to get better at that position because they do have some depth at offensive line. The offensive line is not even close to what we thought it would be this year. Will it hold up against Penn State? We shall see. Penn State, though, has lost 6 straight as a home underdog under James Franklin.
I mean, all the numbers are against Penn State in this one. Like, you can throw out the big game Ryan Day number. That big, I mean, and it's a real number, right? But I think if you just stack all the trends, they're all against Penn State in this one.
Yeah, well, look, here's the number that jumps on Ryan Day right now. He has currently lost 5 consecutive top 5 matchups. But if you look at them, the 1-point loss to Oregon, I don't know what you thought about that game. It was back and forth. I thought Ohio State was better, but, I mean, it's close.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, so they lose that game. That's a top 5. You go back to the Michigan game. That was a top 5.
Yep.
I guess it goes back to Michigan before that.
Yeah, top 5. Yeah. Georgia in the playoffs.
Georgia in the playoffs, and then either Michigan or Alabama. I mean, these are, and it's not like outside of the Michigan game, none of those games got away from him. And it's not like his offense went into a hole. So I still think Ryan Day's a really good coach. He's going to have to win a championship sooner than later. If he loses this game, we talked about the pressure that will be surrounding this program because now you look at this, you've still got Indiana and you've still got Michigan. And there is something about Michigan mentally for Ohio State right now. But if they were to lose 3 games in the regular season and not even get to a college football playoff, I mean, we talk about disaster with Ole Miss, disaster if Penn State doesn't get there. But, I mean, this is catastrophic with the money they actually invested in this program.
Let's go to the 2:30 window. Johnston RV Center brings you the show. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, always online at johnstonrvcenter.com. Also, Champy's world famous fried chicken. Sterling and the gang down there serving up lunch today. Great tailgate food for your Saturday. Go by and sit at the bar, watch the games, enjoy one of Megan's margaritas there, and all the great selections, and enjoy those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, the great pool boys, the sides, the desserts. Champy's chicken, Champy's world famous fried chicken. You got to play on both these 2:30 games, Michigan and Oregon. You tipped your hand a little bit on Michigan. It is your upset alert. You've liked it all week. A 14.5-point favorite is what Oregon is this morning at MyBookie.ag, and a total of 45 there in the big house. 2:30 CBS.
Yeah, Michigan a home dog for the 3rd time this season. That is just hard to believe when you look at that 3-year run Harbaugh went on and capping it with a 15-0 national championship last year. They haven't been a home dog 3 times since 2009. And help me out, who was the coach in 2009? It was before Brady Hoke, right?
Was that Rich Rod?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Was it? Yeah, it was. It was. It was still Rich Rod. Yeah.
Exactly who it was. This
Jack
is pretty
State,
great.
Jack State head coach Rich Rod. He knows what he's doing now.
Yeah, I think Coach Rich Rod is a really good coach. He's just got to be in a certain
yeah.
place. In Ann Arbor,
that wasn't a fit. Yeah.
So Michigan's done a really good job in this spot after playing Michigan State, who they found a way to beat last week. The Wolverines 9-1 straight up, 7-3 over the last decade, I should say, against the number following that Michigan State game. But Dan Lanning, how about this? He's undefeated as a road favorite. As a double-digit favorite, Lanning is 23-1 straight up and 16-8 against the number.
Wow.
With all that said, I didn't realize Will Johnson was going to be out. He got hurt against Illinois. He didn't play in the win against Michigan State, but by all accounts, he was supposed to be back. He's got a lower body injury. You tell me how vague that is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
below the waist
on the lower body, but he's got a lower body injury, but he's out again today. And look, against this Dylan Gabriel offensive Will Stein attack, that's kind of a big deal. But I'm already locked and loaded on Michigan. They've got to play with pride at some point, right? And I told you this yesterday. We go back to Davis Warren. Alex Orji didn't work. Jack Tuttle's retired. Davis Warren was your starter at the beginning of the year. It's an incredible story. He's a cancer survivor. He's just not a very good quarterback. But to be a scholarship quarterback at Michigan, he's got to have, moments. Yeah. So I am hoping and praying we get a moment today, Brown, where he just doesn't play bad. Again, just be consistently average. That's all I want from him.
Consistently average is what we all strive for in life.
Yeah.
Cocktail party. You got to play on this one too. Florida, Georgia down in Jacksonville. Georgia, a 14.5-point favorite still this morning at MyBookie.ag. Total of 52. Also a 2:30 game, but now on ABC, not CBS.
Yeah, 9 of the last 10 cocktail parties, double-digit games. 3 straight. Georgia has won by 20+. But I brought this up, and this is kind of amazing in itself, too, because it seems like a while since Georgia's won a championship. And this is just me joining the what have you done for me lately society. But the last team to beat Georgia that is not named Alabama was Florida back in 2020 in the really good Kyle Trask year where they get to the SEC championship game. Florida's playing better football. I give Billy Napier a lot of credit with all the noise surrounding the program. When they got run off the field against Texas A&M, it looked like it was going to completely fall apart. He might be fired in season, and now I'm under the belief Scott Strickland really should take a look at keeping Billy Napier, and especially with the way DJ Lagway has been playing. Over the last 4 games, they've won 3 of 4. Their one loss was in overtime in Knoxville, and Lagway is coming off arguably his best performance this past week. So they're playing clean football. Over the last 4 games, they've won the turnover margin in every one of those games. One of the reasons they've won 3 of 4, and they kept the one loss extremely tight against Tennessee. But I think Florida's playing a lot better football, and Georgia is just, okay, if they play their best football, they can beat absolutely anybody. They can run anybody off the field. But if they turn it over, a lot of teams can play with Georgia.
Another 2:30 game. It'll be a fight in the Taylor household to get Peacock on there so he can watch his Indiana Hoosiers and Coach Sig. They're 8-point favorites, total of 53.5 for Indiana going on the road now without their quarterback. Or with their quarterback. Curtis Rourke is back, right?
Curtis Rourke is back.
Yeah, my apologies.
And so this is big for this Indiana offense. Indiana 5-0 in the Big Ten. Do you know what Indiana's been the last 3 seasons in the Big Ten?
Since they're 5-0, I'm going to guess over the last 3, that'd be 24. I'm going to guess they were 5-19.
3-24.
Okay, even worse.
3-24 to 5-0 right now. Another week, another win, another cover. This is what you see with Indiana football. I do think this game gets maybe a little more dangerous. We're just waiting on somebody to actually be able to play with this team. And not that Michigan State is very good. That's just one of those kind of tricky places in the Big Ten to play. But Kirk Cignetti, say what you want. This guy just wins and covers. I mean, they're on a 7-game cover and win streak right now. And Kirk Cignetti, when you just look at him straight up over his last 16 games or 18 games as a head coach, he is 17-1 straight up, 15-3 against the spread. That is crazy. Just padding wallets.
Always believe in Coach Sig. All right, we're going to get to the late slate. Lance has got a few plays there as well. As he said, he spread them across the board today. Just the way the games fell. A reminder, Johnston RV Center brings you the show. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman. 334 indicator, always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. Lifetime warranty on anything new or qualifying used. That comes from RV Warranty Forever. They make sure you're covered there for a lifetime. Also, Champy's Chicken, champy'schicken.com. Sterling and the gang there serving you up for lunch, champy'schicken.com. At 10 o'clock.
Quick, Brad, I do want to say when we get off here, I'm going to go live on Lance's Lock. So
yep.
I'll do another 30 minutes there, previewing more Week 10 games.
You were reading my mind. I was about to say at 10 o'clock. Lance is going live with more of this at lanceslog.com. All right, well, let's hit a few games here on the way out the door here. Somebody asked if I play the guitar, if that's a prop, complete prop. I don't.
You know, this is so random that I don't know if I've ever noticed the prop. I know you don't play guitar. That is like extremely odd. Like, whose guitar is it?
It is my daughter's. She went off to college. She had a couple guitars, but she didn't want to take them both to college, so she took the better one to college. Rather than throw it out, my wife was like, I need to put it somewhere. I'm just going to put it down in your sports room as a prop.
Trying to make you look somewhat artistic.
That's right. Trying to make it look like I did anything at Jacksonville State other than just show up. There you go. But I do not play.
So did you notice, though, that it is kind of a skinny schedule today, the card?
It is. Well, you don't have the late game because I guess they were not wanting to go head-to-head with the World Series, which, by the way, is not being played tonight because the Dodgers have already won it. But that's the gamble you take. I guess that's why they stayed away. I mean, that was a record ratings recently, at least, World Series. So,
yeah, I guess here's what doesn't make sense to me. Colorado State and Nevada and Reno at 7 o'clock Central kick on CBS Sports Network. Who cares? Like, you've got degenerates out there. Put that game at 10 o'clock Central.
Yeah,
like,
even if the World Series is on. Yeah,
like have one really late game. I just don't understand it. And like, if you're like our man Dunaway and you're out in Vegas, you know that game goes off at 5 o'clock. So at 8 o'clock, you have absolutely nothing. Now there'll be some later games in the NBA, but you've got no more football after 8 o'clock.
No, it is. If these late game, I mean, and it's not a great slate late either. TCU Baylor just doesn't do a ton for me, but we need these late games to be good to keep us locked in. Let's talk about Louisville at Clemson. You and I both like Louisville in the pick 3, 10.5. Clemson is favored in this one. Total of 62. That's your 6:30 ESPN game. Louisville's lost a bunch of close games, and Clemson hasn't really been tested since Georgia.
Yeah, this Clemson team has just been absolutely dominant. Hold on one sec, Brown. I got to send this off. This Clemson team, though, has been absolutely dominant, but they haven't played somebody like Louisville. Nobody's going to give Louisville a shake because they've got 3 losses. But again, their 3 losses are to 3 teams that are combined 26-2. Clemson 6 straight wins, 40+ in 5 of the 6. They've won all 6 by 16+ points. But when you start to look at what they've stacked up against, Cade Klubnik is playing at another level right now. As good as Deshaun and Trevor Lawrence were, this is the closest you've seen under Dabo Swinney at the quarterback position. But I do have a play on this game. I think Louisville is better than advertised. I'll just say that.
By the way, J.M. Brown, we've talked about this. Furman's under the radar backdoor, a half-point guy. It does not matter, Lance. If you win by half a point or 200, does it pay the same?
It pays the same. And I'll tell you, I had Georgia State as well. And, boy, it did come down to it, man. It was a great backdoor, but at the same time, I felt like Florida Atlanta got pulled away from us. So it was an interesting night last night. But, yeah, Furman has been red hot. I think, what is he, 5-1?
No, 6-1 now on that under the radar. And he told you 7.5 is the number there. You need it at 7.5. Yeah. So some of you might have gotten it 7. Furman on the show was abundantly clear. Get it at 7.5 while you can. South Carolina. You've got to play on this one as well. A&M a 3-point favorite in Columbia. 44 is your total. 6:30 ABC Prime. It'll be a rockin' Williams-Brice Stadium. This is a hornet's nest for A&M to walk into.
Yeah, look, and A&M, it's been an incredible story. I mean, if you're looking for stories out of the SEC, I think the 2 big ones are obviously Vanderbilt, who we've already talked about, and A&M right now, a perfect 5-0 in conference, 7-1, the best start for an A&M coach since we've said it before, 1917 with Dana Bible. Mike Elko, the adjustments they made, the Colin Klein adjustments with Marcel Reed coming out in the second half. A&M right now leads the SEC in rushing yards per carry, over 5 yards per carry. South Carolina's lost 8 straight to ranked teams. This South Carolina team, though, if you take away, and you can't, obviously, and I think you say this about 10, 15 teams in college football, but there was a play against LSU where they could have easily won that game in Columbia. And then, obviously, multiple plays against Alabama. 2-point conversion, the pick that was thrown at the end of the game by Sellers. If he goes underneath there, they probably have an easy kick to win that game. With all that said, South Carolina could easily be 6-1. They're not, but they're a dangerous out. There's a reason A&M is only a 3-point favorite in this game. And I'm checking to see if I've got any movement on this game earlier today.
It was 3 this morning at MyBookie.ag about an hour ago.
Yeah, still 3 and a low total of 44.
And then finally, Pitt is at SMU. This is turns out one of the biggest games of the day. I mean, when this thing showed up on the ACC schedule, it seemed weird enough. To tell you it was one of the biggest games of the day seems even crazy, but it is. These are two undefeated conference teams. SMU's only loss is BYU, so it has a college football playoff impact as well. In Dallas, SMU a 7-point home favorite, total of 56.5, 7 p.m. Luganville's game on the ACC network.
Yeah, 3-9 last year for Pittsburgh. And Pat Narduzzi, we saw 3 years ago they won the ACC championship. He gets contract extension. Kenny Pickett's a Heisman finalist. And they just weren't good last year. And it seems like when he gets a quarterback that plays outstanding football like Eli Holstein is playing this year, then Pittsburgh ends up being a really good team. And it's a quick strike offense. They're 133rd right now nationally in time of possession. We talked about that possible factor with Vanderbilt in Auburn. But Eli Holstein, how healthy is he? He's got the hand injury. He's going to play. But, this is a fascinating game, and their defense has played lights out the last couple of games. They haven't given up more than 17 points. They forced the 5 turnovers the last time we saw them out last Thursday night. Kevin Jennings, your starting quarterback for SMU, he's been a little banged up with a leg injury. Their rush defense has been really good. I'm fascinated to watch this game. It'll be the first meeting between Pitt and SMU since
the Cotton Bowl,
the 2012 BBVA Compass Bowl, which I think was in our backyard in Birmingham.
They had an old school Cotton Bowl matchup. I think Dan Marino quarterback then, if I'm not mistaken. So I was going to go that far back. All right, Johnston RV Center brings you the show. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. And don't forget Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster, champyschicken.com. TheBarnAuburn.com for postgame reaction to Auburn and Vandy. We'll also have it Saturday morning, starting at 7 a.m. with Dunaway and Louisville. I'll have Marcelo with the middle 8 at 8, and then Lance, me, and Dunaway all back together for the next round at 9. You can catch Lance right now over at lanceslock.com. Win at Lance's Lock on YouTube, talking about all the games. Have a fun Saturday, Lance.
You too, buddy. We'll talk soon. Let's win.
Yep,
See you, buddy.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week.